Hi, good everyone. Welcome to the last lap. This is now the last portion of your CLAT preparation. This is the last month. So this is the period where we've brought to you a daily session on revising general knowledge and current affairs. So how we'll be doing it is, I've selected a few topics for each day. I'm going to cover first the current affairs topic and then discuss with you the various related aspects of that topic, whether it be background information or it could also be related international organizations or days or any recent awards or things like that. So today we have a couple of topics. What I'm planning to do today primarily focuses on the latest announcement of the 8th Pay Commission. Through it, we'll also be taking a look at a little bit of the history. What is the purpose of it? Then I've put together a few important items of current affairs which were in the news related to the Indian judiciary, right? So that will be appointments of the latest Chief Justice as well as the one before him. It also relates to the impeachment and removal proceedings relating to Justice Yashwant Verma. So that's just the top line topics. We'll be covering a lot more through related points, related static information. So I'm going to make a start. Let me just share my screen with you so you'll better be able to follow. What I've done is just put the bullet points of what I'll be discussing on the screen. I hope the screen is properly visible to all of you. Okay, so let's make a start. The first topic in front of us today deals with the 8th Pay Commission. Okay, all of you know that just a few days back, especially those of you who have family who are central government employees or pensioners, you would have heard from them at home that the 8th Central Pay Commission has been announced. Now, in reality, the commission had already been formed in January of 2025, but few days back, its terms of reference, what exactly it's supposed to do was laid out. I'll just show you the notification in a moment. And the other thing which happened recently is the chairperson of the commission was announced. Now, I've been saying in class that Justice Ranjana Prakash Desai seems to be quite a favorite to lead various committees and commissions these days. And so she has been appointed as the chairperson of the 8th Pay Commission. Okay. So what are these committees and commissions she already leads? So I've mentioned those on the screen as well. So she is the current chairperson of the Delimitation Commission of India. She is the current chairperson of the Press Council of India. And she currently chairs the drafting committee on the Uniform Civil Code for the state of Gujarat. In fact, till last year or till early this year, she was also chairing the UCC drafting committee for the state of Uttarakhand. So she's a retired judge of the Supreme Court, and she's been pressed into service for serving as the chair of these various committees and commissions. Now, you all know these are all separate items which are in the news. The Delimitation Commission, the Press Council, and the Uniform Civil Code. So before we get into the nitty-gritties of the Central Pay Commission, what we're going to do is just see a few points related to each of these things, just to make sure that you are aware of the information about this for other passages and other questions. So I'm going to start at the bottom. So Justice Ranjana Prakash Desai last year led the drafting committee on the Uniform Civil Code of Uttarakhand. And this year, she's leading the drafting committee on the Uniform Civil Code of Gujarat, right? So what I'll do is I'll ask you 3 or 4 questions on UCC. You can respond in chat. You can respond in the comments. So my first question is the most basic. Which article of the Constitution provides that the state should endeavor to create a uniform civil code in India? Okay, I'm going to explain what a UCC is to give you a little bit of time to answer in the chat and the comments. So what's a uniform civil code? The idea of it is that there should be a uniform set of laws governing essentially family law, marriage, succession, and things like that. Okay, so that's the broad idea of a uniform civil code. I can see that some of you have answered on the various forums. So yes, the answer is Article 44 of the Constitution. It is Article 44, which is part of the directive principles of state policy, which forms part of Part 4 of the Constitution. So the DPSPs are in Part 4, and within Part 4, Article 44 provides for the Uniform Civil Code. Now, which state is it that has broadly been a uniform civil code state right from the start? That is the state of Goa. What uniform civil code applies in the state of Goa? It is the Portuguese civil code. So from the colonial era, that same civil code has been in application. Okay. So that is the first state in India to have a UCC. But if the question is, which was the first state after independence to adopt a uniform civil code, what will our answer be? The first state in India after independence to adopt a uniform civil code, then our answer will become Uttarakhand. So Uttarakhand has also implemented its uniform civil code. And now the state of Gujarat has also formed a committee to draft a uniform civil code for that state. And Justice Desai led the uniform civil code drafting committees of both Uttarakhand earlier as well as the state of Gujarat now. Okay, so those are the three questions I wanted to ask you related to the Uniform Civil Code. Second, a few questions on the Press Council of India. So number one, the Press Council of India, of course, is a statutory body, meaning it is created by an act of parliament. That is the Press Council of India Act. There is one reason the topic of the Press Council is important this year, because this year is being observed as the 50th anniversary of the internal emergency imposed in 1975. Okay, so please link this to the Press Council of India. And it is the Press Council of India which was abolished after the emergency was imposed and then reintroduced or recreated after the end of the emergency. So that is one important link to this year's current affairs. The Press Council of India is a body abolished during the emergency. On the emergency, I won't ask you the questions, but I'm going to tell you the 3 or 4 things, 5 things actually, which you need to remember. So get ready to note those things down and find out after the class. So number 1, what is that date when the emergency was imposed on the grounds of internal emergency? Okay, that date is nowadays being observed by the government of India as Samvidhan Hatya Divas. Little bit of a misnomer, I would say, because the Constitution, as we know, is alive and well. But obviously, the internal emergency on grounds of internal disturbance was a dark spot on the democratic history of India. So the date on which the emergency was imposed or proclaimed in 1975 is being observed as the Samvidhan Hatya Divas. So what date is that? Number 2, who was the president at that time who issued the proclamation? Number 3, on which date was the emergency removed in 1977? Number 4, who was the person serving as acting president who declared an end to the emergency? And number 5, who was the prime minister during the emergency? It was, of course, Indira Gandhi. Now, bringing you back to the topic of the Press Council of India. So that is one link to the emergency, 50 years of the emergency. Second, the current chairperson we already know is Justice Desai, Ranjana Prakash Desai. Then, who was the first chair of the Press Council of India? That was Justice J.R. Mudholkar. Okay, Justice J.R. Mudholkar. And finally, when do we observe National Press Day? Okay, so National Press Day is observed on the 16th of November. So it's still upcoming, but National Press Day is on the 16th of November to commemorate the establishment of the Press Council of India. With Press Day and Press Council, you should also link when we observe the World Press Freedom Day in May, that's on the 3rd of May. Number two, which newspaper from Nicaragua won the UNESCO Guillermo Cano World Press Freedom Prize? And number three, what was India's ranking this year on the World Press Freedom Index? Okay, so these three details also need to be done. Number one, the date of the World Press Freedom Day, which is the 3rd of May, held on the theme of challenges faced by journalism today, right? Basically from artificial intelligence. Okay, that was the theme. Who won the Guillermo Cano World Press Freedom Prize given by UNESCO? It's the newspaper called La Prensa from Nicaragua. And because of this, Nicaragua also announced its intention to leave UNESCO. Which is the other country which has left UNESCO this year? That's the United States of America. Okay, so two countries have left the UNESCO in 2025. That's the United States as well as Nicaragua. Okay, we are going to cover this when we take up the topics related to UNESCO. So don't worry about it. And the third point I had mentioned, India's ranking on the World Press Freedom Index. Okay, so that covers that. The issue of delimitation we are going to take up along with the topic of census. So I'm not going to focus on it today. Okay, out of these, Delimitation Commission is a constitutional body created by authority of the Constitution, whereas Press Council of India is a statutory body created under an act of parliament. Okay, so as promised, now I'm going to show you the announcement made by the government on the 8th Central Pay Commission. Okay, I hope you can see it on your screens. Okay, so the important parts of this announcement, this press release, I've highlighted for you. Now, one or two important things. Number one, the Pay Commission is a temporary body. Okay, so this is not something that remains in office. It's appointed for a short time period to give recommendations to the government. Now, how frequently are pay commissions established? Pay commissions are established to give recommendations for every 10-year period. So approximately the recommendations of the Pay Commission last for about 10 years. Okay, so pay commissions that way are a decennial affair. Okay, decennial meaning this is something that happens once in 10 years. Okay, next, how much time has been given to the 8th Central Pay Commission to provide its recommendations? So as you can see it highlighted on the screen, 18 months or 1.5 years have been provided to the 8th Central Pay Commission to give their recommendations. Okay, so 18 months. However, that does not mean that its recommendations will apply only next year. Or rather, it does not mean that they will only apply in end of 26 or in 27. Because if you can see at the bottom, the second last paragraph tells us that whenever the recommendations are given, the recommendations are likely to be applicable from the 1st of January 2026, right? So the recommendations will probably come after that. But once they are accepted, by the central government, they will be applied retrospectively from the 1st of Jan 2026. Now, what is the job of a pay commission? The job of a central pay commission is to recommend emolument structure, retirement benefits, pay, pensions, salaries, allowances, as well as service conditions of central government employees. Okay, this is something that's important to remember. It's a central pay commission. So when its recommendations are accepted, they will only directly benefit employees and pensioners of the central government. Okay, so the important things on this page I have already flagged for you. The 8th Central Pay Commission gets appointed in Jan 2025. Its terms of reference have been finalized now. Its chairperson has been appointed. That's Justice Ranjana Prakash Desai. How much time has the commission been given to give a report? 18 months or 1.5 years. From when are its recommendations expected to apply? That will be the 1st of January or the first day of 2026. In general, after every which period of time is a pay commission appointed? So the recommendations of a new pay commission are supposed to be implemented after every 10-year period. Okay, so I hope that clarifies for you the content of what the 8th Central Pay Commission is supposed to do. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and quickly do a little bit of history. You know that in CLAT, once you have a passage, you're asked 4 or 5 or 6 questions even about that. So we need to do a little bit of background. So this is the 8th Pay Commission to be chaired by Justice Ranjana Prakash Desai. The first Central Pay Commission, which was appointed in 1946, was chaired by Justice Sir Srinivasa Varadacharya. Okay, so Justice Sir Srinivasa Varadacharya. He was the chairman of the first Central Pay Commission, which was appointed in 1946. There are 2 more things about him which we should know. Number 1, within the Constituent Assembly of India, there was this committee called the Ad Hoc Committee on the Supreme Court. What was its job? Its job was to recommend to the Constituent Assembly what should be the provisions relating to the Supreme Court of India. Okay, so he was the chair of that Ad Hoc Committee of the Constituent Assembly as well, the Ad Hoc Committee on the Supreme Court. And we already know he was the first chair of the first Central Pay Commission. Finally, he holds one more record, which is that when it comes to the precursor institution of the Supreme Court, meaning which institution was the precursor of the Supreme Court? It was the Federal Court of India. He was actually the first Indian Chief Justice of the Federal Court of India. Okay, so the first Indian Chief Justice of the Federal Court of India. So that's about Sir Srinivasa Varadacharya. What is his link to the 8th Central Pay Commission? He was actually the chairman of the first Central Pay Commission. Okay, so that is something for you to keep in mind. Okay, so I hope the topic of the 8th Central Pay Commission is clear. I'm going to show you one last slide on the Pay Commission that relates to the judiciary. Okay, now, as I said, when we talk about the 8th Central Pay Commission, their recommendations apply to the salaries, allowances, emoluments of central government employees and pensioners. But when it comes to the judiciary, think about it. High Court and Supreme Court judges' salaries are fixed by Parliament. So what about the subordinate judiciary? Meaning, what is the so-called subordinate or lower judiciary? Of course, the Supreme Court keeps reiterating that the lower judiciary, the so-called lower judiciary, is absolutely an important pillar of the judicial system. Okay. So judges of lower courts are not central government employees. They are employees of each separate state government. What is the lower judiciary? Sessions judges, district judges, metropolitan judges, judicial magistrates, and so on and so forth. So in 2017, and this is the last time it happened, the Supreme Court ordered on the judicial side that the second National Judicial Pay Commission needed to be established. So what do you have to know about this? Their role was to recommend the salaries, allowances, etc. of judicial officers of the subordinate judiciary. And number two, who was the chair? It was Justice P.V. Reddy or P. Venkatarama Reddy. Okay. They had submitted their report in 2020 and it is still being implemented, and its implementation is being chaired or is being overseen by the Supreme Court through a particular case which it keeps hearing. Okay. So when it comes to the 8th Central Pay Commission, we know the chair, we know her related appointments. We've done some more related GK. We've seen the terms of reference. What is the job? The time period in which the recommendations have to be given, when it will be applicable, and every how many years a Central Pay Commission is appointed. We've also done the history, the chair of the first Central Pay Commission, and finally, relating it to the judiciary or the focus of the CLAT exam, the second National Judicial Pay Commission, which is a separate thing which only applies to the judges of the subordinate judiciary, whose chair was P. Venkatarama Reddy or Justice P.V. Reddy. Okay. The only reason I have mentioned the National Judicial Pay Commission is because the report of the second Judicial Pay Commission is still being implemented. And there have been news items even through the course of this year detailing the Supreme Court engaging with its recommendations and ordering committees to be established in each high court for the implementation of the recommendations of the second National Judicial Pay Commission. Okay, so that covers this topic comprehensively. We've also taken that opportunity to cover a whole host of current and background topics. Okay, now the second theme which I have chosen for today is to put together on this slide the important pieces of current affairs in 2025 related to the higher judiciary. Okay. When we say the higher judiciary, we mean the constitutional courts, which is the Supreme Court and the high courts of India. Okay. So the first point which I've mentioned here is the appointment of the Chief Justices of India. So this year, two different Chief Justices have been appointed. First, remember, Justice Sanjeev Khanna retired. And so in the middle of this year or early this year, Justice B.R. Gavai was appointed as the Chief Justice of India. That is Justice Bhushan Ramakrishna Gavai. Now, it is important for us to remember that there are several records associated with Justice Gavai. Number one, he is the first Buddhist person to become the Chief Justice of India. Okay. Second, he is the second Dalit to become the Chief Justice of India. Okay. So please keep this in mind. Number one was the retirement of Justice Sanjeev Khanna. When he retired, Justice Bhushan Ramakrishna Gavai was appointed as the Chief Justice. Of course, in India, the convention is that only the senior-most judge of the Supreme Court of India will be appointed as the next Chief Justice of India. This is a convention right from the start, but this convention has been broken. So the question is, how many times has the senior-most judge of the Supreme Court not been appointed as the next Chief Justice of India? So the answer to that is 3 times. Okay, so it's thrice in India's history that the senior most judge of the Supreme Court has not been appointed as the next Chief Justice of India. So twice this happened during the emergency, during the internal emergency, which I've mentioned earlier, right? So 2 times the senior most judge was superseded and a junior judge was appointed as the next CJI. This is considered a big aberration and quite a huge attack on the independence of the judiciary. The third time was for legitimate reasons, where the next senior most judge was too ill to take charge, and so the order was skipped, and the one who was senior most after him was appointed as the next CJI. Okay, so recapping, Justice Sanjeev Khanna retired. Number 2, Justice B.R. Gavai, Bhushan Ramakrishna Gavai, was appointed as the Chief Justice of India mid-year. He became the first Buddhist Chief Justice of India and the second Dalit Chief Justice of India. Okay. Next. Now, you all are going to give CLAT on the 7th of December. Okay. And Justice Gavai is retiring about what, 10, 12 days before that. Okay. So Justice Gavai is retiring in the last month of October. Okay. So in your exam, if the question is, who is the current Chief Justice of India? Your answer is going to be Justice Suryakant. Okay. So if that is the question, your answer has to be Justice Suryakant. Why? He is the next senior most judge after Justice Gavai, and therefore on his retirement, he is going to be appointed as the 53rd Chief Justice of India. So the 53rd Chief Justice of India, this is something that has already been officially announced, and the President of India has already issued orders for the same. Okay, so the President has issued orders a few days back saying that on the date on which Justice Gavai retires, Justice Suryakant shall take office as the Chief Justice of India. Of course, this clarifies for us who appoints the Chief Justice of India. It is the President, obviously on the advice of the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. Now remember, for the appointment of Chief Justice of India only, who has to recommend a name to the government and then to the President? So only one person does it. So remember, I am being very clear. Please be clear that the collegium system applies to the appointment of judges of the Supreme Court, judges of the High Court, Chief Justices of the High Court, and transfer of the judges of the High Court and Chief Justices of the High Court. However, when it comes to the appointment of the next CJI, the Chief Justice of India, only the outgoing Chief Justice of India has to send a recommendation to the government, and that is how the process is taken forward. Then the government recommends the same to the President, and the President issues the order for the appointment of the next Chief Justice of India. Okay, so that's it. If the question is who will be the next Chief Justice, who will be the Chief Justice of India when you give CLAT, it will be Justice Suryakant. He will be the 53rd Chief Justice of India. Now, one or two things we need to do related to this. What is that one body? Now, I need an answer from you. Which is that statutory body whose patron-in-chief is the Chief Justice of India? So whoever is the Chief Justice is the ex officio patron-in-chief of this statutory body. Which is that body? It is NALSA. What is NALSA? The National Legal Services Authority. Okay, NALSA is the National Legal Services Authority. and its ex officio patron in chief will be whoever is the CJI, the Chief Justice of India. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that. Now, since we have two different appointments of the Chief Justice of India this year, some topics related to this are going to be important. Okay, now these are just some records. I'm going to mention them on the side here. It is your homework to find out the answer. I'll just mention the records on the side. I'll type it out for you and I'll tell you orally what the answer is. Okay, so obviously, immediately, who was the first Chief Justice of India and the last Chief Justice of the Federal Court of India? Okay, so the first Chief Justice of India was Justice H.J. Kania or Harilal Jaikishan Das Kania. So he was the first Chief Justice of India. Second, let's see who was the longest serving Chief Justice of India ever. His name is Justice Y.V. Chandrachud. Okay, Justice Yashwant V. Chandrachud. He is actually Justice D.Y. Chandrachud's father. Okay, so Justice Y.V. Chandrachud was the longest serving Chief Justice. Has there been any woman who has become a Chief Justice of India? So if I were to ask you the first female Chief Justice of India till date, there is nobody. Okay, it's quite a travesty, but no woman has ever occupied the office of the Chief Justice of India till date. But in 2027, the first woman is going to take over office as the first female Chief Justice of India, and her name is Justice B.V. Nagaratna. Okay, so Justice B.V. Nagaratna. So I hope this is clear. Next we have the first Muslim Chief Justice of India. Now, I hope you are all able to give me an answer for this because HNLU Raipur is named after him, right? So that is Justice M. Hidayatullah. Justice M. Hidayatullah was the first Muslim Chief Justice of India. And very importantly, he is also the only Chief Justice of India to have served as acting president. He is the first and only Chief Justice of India to serve as acting president. So first Muslim and first acting president. That is Justice M. Hidayatullah. Okay. Next, we should do the first Dalit. When we use the word Dalit, it refers to scheduled castes, the legal category of the scheduled castes. Dalit historically could have been considered a negative word, but in the modern era, it has become a reclaimed word as a word of power and identity. So who was the first Dalit Chief Justice of India? It was Justice K.G. Balakrishnan. And you know, I just mentioned to you that Justice Gavai was the second Dalit Chief Justice of India. Okay, so first Dalit Chief Justice of India was Justice Balakrishnan. And the last two I'll mention to you. The first Parsi Chief Justice of India was Justice S.H. Kapadia, Kapadia, Justice S.H. Kapadia. And the first Buddhist Chief Justice of India, we've already done, Justice Bhushan Ramakrishna Gavai. Okay. The last thing, though till date there has been no female Chief Justice of India, the first one will be in 2027. That will be Justice B.V. Nagaratna. We do have to know the first female judge of the Supreme Court of India, and that is Justice Fatima B.V. B-E-E-V-I. So the first female judge of the Supreme Court of India was Justice Fatima B.V. Okay, so that covers all of our records. So I hope this is clear. First, H.J. Kania, longest serving, Y.V. Chandrachud. First female, no one till now, But in 2027, the first female CJI will be B.V. Nagaratna, Justice Nagaratna. First Muslim CJI, M. Hidayatullah, Justice M. Hidayatullah, after whom HNLU is named. The only CJI to serve as acting president, again, Justice M. Hidayatullah. The first Dalit CJI, Justice K.G. Balakrishnan. The first Buddhist CJI, Justice Bhushan Ramakrishna Gavai. And the first Parsi CJI, Justice S.H. Kapadia. Now, I know that that list would have felt a little bit tedious to all of you. So let's move on. So the first important topic on the judiciary will be the appointment of the new Chief Justices. Second, this could come in relation to some other question, or it could serve as a passage of its own. A very recent former Chief Justice of India, Justice Dhananjay Y. Chandrachud, D.Y. Chandrachud, has written a book called Why the Constitution Matters. So I would suggest that you know the name of the author, former Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, and his book of selected speeches called Why the Constitution Matters. Okay, so that's it on the second topic. And finally, the last two pieces are about the same broad set of events. Okay, that is the entire controversy that's been going on through this year about Justice Yashwant Verma. Okay, so Justice Yashwant Verma used to be a judge of the Delhi High Court. As of now, he's been transferred to the Allahabad High Court, sitting in Allahabad, and currently no judicial work is allotted to him. Okay, so what happened? While he was a judge of the Delhi High Court, allegedly, a lot of cash was found at his house. How did this come to be discovered? Apparently, a fire began in the outhouse to his official residence. And when the firefighters and the police reached to try and douse the fire, apparently a huge wad of notes, of banknotes, was discovered in that outhouse. Now, this obviously led to a huge amount of controversy, allegations of bribery, of corruption, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, after this, he got transferred to the Allahabad High Court, and currently it's almost as if he is suspended, though there is no official procedure to suspend a judge. But the Chief Justice, of course, can take away all of the judicial work of a judge. So that is the status as of now. Now, please be very clear on what happened. Two parallel tracks are being followed, or two parallel tracks were followed in response to this. One is the first point here. That is the in-house committee. Okay, so that's the one I'm discussing first. This happened under the in-house procedure of the Supreme Court, which was adopted in 1999. Okay, so this is a procedure not written in the Constitution. Simply the Supreme Court administratively appointed or created this procedure called the in-house procedure. The idea was that if any complaints are received against judges, this procedure could be followed within the judiciary to figure out the truth of the matter. The second process which was begun against Justice Yashwant Verma is removal proceedings, official removal proceedings under Article 124, Clause 4 of the Constitution. This is what is popularly called impeachment. So the second process is ongoing. The first process has been completed. Okay. My apologies. So first, we are going to talk about what happened under the in-house procedure. So what do you have to know about this? Number one, it was adopted by the full court of the Supreme Court in the year 1999. Second of all, Ultimately, within this procedure, within the in-house procedure, a three-judge committee gets formed to investigate or look into the charges or complaints which have been made. They submit a report to the Chief Justice of India, either saying that the complaint or the allegations are true, but they are not so serious that the judge should be removed. Number two, they can say the complaint or allegations are proved, but the allegations are serious enough that removal proceedings are required. Okay. So number one, allegations are true, but not serious enough to remove the judge. Second option for the committee, allegations are true, but the judge needs to be removed. And third option is allegations are false. Okay. So ultimately, under the in-house procedure, a three-judge committee gets formed and they have to give one of these three recommendations to the CJI. So in Justice Yashwant Verma's case, a three-member committee was formed. Who are they? Please note down their names. It is Justice Sheel Nagu, Justice G.S. Sandhavalia, and Justice Anu Shivaraman. Okay, so Justice G.S. Sandhavalia, Justice Sheel Nagu, and Justice Anu Shivaraman. So this is the three-member committee formed to investigate the charges against Justice Yashwant Verma under the in-house procedure. Now, they recommended to the CJI that the charges appeared to be true and they were of such a serious nature that it requires removal of the judge under the Constitution. Once the CJI received this report, what does he have to do? He has to write, actually, before he writes a letter. So if the committee has said, if the in-house inquiry committee has said that the allegations are true, but not serious enough to remove the judge, the CJI will basically have tea with the relevant judge and recommend to them that they not do the thing again. Second, if the committee has recommended that the charges are false, the CJI has to do nothing, of course. Now, third, and what happened in this case, if the committee recommends that the allegations appear to be true and are serious enough that the judge should be removed, then the CJI has to advise the judge to resign. In this case, the CJI advised Justice Yashwant Verma to resign from his position. When he refused to do so, the CJI did as he was mandated to do. He wrote a letter to the President and the Prime Minister saying, we have conducted this in-house procedure. As per the committee, the allegations appear to be true and the judge needs to be removed. We have advised the judge to resign. He has refused to do so. So we are sending you the report for necessary action. So the CJI will send this letter to the PM and the President. So that is the track which was followed under the in-house procedure, culminating in the sending of this letter from the CJI to the PM and the President. The second process is the process of removal or impeachment that is laid down under Article 124, Clause 4 of the Constitution. Now, a couple of things about this. Number one, on what grounds can a Supreme Court or High Court judge be removed? On what grounds can a Supreme Court or High Court judge be removed? That is only two grounds: proved misbehavior or incapacity. Okay, proved misbehavior or incapacity. Second thing to know, what kind of majority is required to remove a judge? So a motion or an address has to be passed in both houses separately, both houses of parliament separately by two different majorities. Okay, so in each house a vote will be held separately. No joint sitting is possible. And in both houses, two conditions have to be satisfied. Number one, 2/3 majority of those present and voting should have said yes, and at least a simple majority of the total membership should have said yes. Only if both conditions are satisfied in both the houses can a judge of the Supreme Court or High Court be removed. Okay. So if you have any confusion, just go back a little bit and listen to it again. Okay. So I've told you the grounds, I've told you the procedure. Okay. That's the way to remove a judge of the Supreme Court. Now, the details of the procedure are provided in this law called the Judges Inquiry Act. Okay. The Judges Inquiry Act says that after the motion to remove a judge of the Supreme Court or High Court is admitted by one of the houses, then a committee has to be formed. Okay. So first of all, to even begin the removal process, if members of Lok Sabha are giving notice, 100 members of Lok Sabha have to give notice to the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. Who is that right now? Om Birla. If members of the Rajya Sabha are giving notice, at least 50 members have to give written notice to the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. How many days? At least 14 days. Okay. So whichever house notice is given in, then the chair of that house, in the case of Lok Sabha, the Speaker, Om Birla, or in the case of the Rajya Sabha, the chairman or the vice president, which is currently C.P. Radhakrishnan. So once the notice is given, the presiding officer of either house has to accept or admit the motion, accept the notice and admit the motion. Once the motion is admitted, whichever chair or whichever presiding officer has admitted it, they have to form a 3-member committee. Remember, this is absolutely separate from the in-house procedure. Okay. Now, in this case, in the case of Justice Yashwant Verma, which house has the motion been admitted in? It has been admitted in the Lok Sabha by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, Mr. Om Birla. And he has made a 3-member committee comprising of Justice Arvind Kumar of the Supreme Court, Justice Manindra Mohan Srivastav of the Madras High Court, Chief Justice, and Senior Advocate B. Vasudev Acharya. So this is the 3-member committee that has been appointed by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha to inquire into what are the grounds to remove Justice Yashwant Verma. Okay. Once they submit the report, if they say the allegations are not proved, then the process is over. If they submit a report saying the allegations are proved, then voting will be conducted first in the Lok Sabha and then in the Rajya Sabha. If it passes by the required majorities in both houses, then we can say that the judge of the Supreme Court or High Court stands removed. Okay. So this is a very important topic for this year. My belief is, or at least my guess is, that this is a topic that you could find in the legal section or the GK and current affairs section of the exam this year. Okay. So that covers the 4 important things I had for you today. The appointment relating to the judiciary, the appointment of Chief Justices, first B.R. Gavai, then Suryakant. Second, the book of Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, former CJI, Why the Constitution Matters. Third, the in-house procedure conducted against Justice Yashwant Verma. Fourth, the removal or impeachment proceedings which are currently pending against Justice Yashwant Verma. Okay, there are 2 additional facts which I have mentioned on the screen here at the bottom. I hope you have noted them down as well. Okay, and finally, the last thing before we wrap up our session for today, I have one last slide for you. Now, we aren't going to go through all of these, but I just wanted to flag for you the important committees and commissions, current committees and commissions, which are chaired by former judges. Okay, which are chaired by former judges right now. So here we have the National Human Rights Commission, which is chaired by Justice V. Ramasubramaniam, retired judge of the Supreme Court. The 23rd Law Commission, whose chairman was appointed this year, so it's part of your current affairs, Justice Dinesh Maheshwari, retired judge of the Supreme Court. The Lokpal is currently chaired by Justice Ajay Manikrao Khanvilkar. Then a special committee was established by the state of Tamil Nadu called the High Level Committee on Union-State Relations. This is being chaired by retired Supreme Court Judge Justice Kurian Joseph. A national task force on mental health was created by the Supreme Court. This is being chaired by Justice Ravindra Bhatt. And the last one we've already done, of the favorite judge right now, Justice Ranjana Prakash Desai, Press Council of India and Delimitation Commission of India. And the second last, the National Green Tribunal, chaired by Justice Prakash Srivastava. Okay, so I wanted to end our session today with giving you all of these details. What you can do is, if you want more time to note it down, once the live session ends, you can go on YouTube and rewind a little bit and pause it on the screen and note it down. Okay, so today, just to take you through it again, we've seen the 8th Central Pay Commission, the current details related to it. We did the current affairs about the press, World Press Day, World Press Freedom Index, the Guillermo Cano Prize, the National Press Day. We also did a little bit of background on the Uniform Civil Code. We did the current important details on the Central Pay Commission, the 8th Central Pay Commission. We did history, the first Central Pay Commission, and the second National Judicial Pay Commission. Then we discussed 4 of these important current affairs on the judiciary this year: the appointment of the 2 Chief Justices, the first Buddhist Chief Justice of India, Justice Gavai, and Justice Suryakant, who will be the current Chief Justice at the time when you give your CLAT on the 7th of December. We discussed the book written by former CJI Justice D.Y. Chandrachud called Why the Constitution Matters. And we did this very important topic on the corruption scandal and removal proceedings of Justice Yashwant Verma, against whom the in-house procedure was completed and the removal or impeachment proceedings are pending. Finally, I've listed for you here the important committees and commissions. They are relevant every year, okay? So these can be asked related to almost any passage. They'll also be relevant for AILET, okay? So this is important. So that's the last page which we've done today. Now, before we end our session, let me just say how nice and fun it was to talk to all of you. This is our first last lap GK Current Affairs session. We are planning to do one of these every day till a week before the exam, so max till the 30th of November. So we are planning to do one of these each day. Each evening, it's going to begin at 7 p.m. So please tune in. You can subscribe to our page, CLAT Possible. If you want any other assistance, please feel free to comment or to reach out to us through our website. So very nice to see you all, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you.